Alright, Improvisation Center is back again with a couple of yard tools. Probably seen these things before in a past video, but reason that they're here is, well, because they're dead, or dead-ish, as is the case with Walmart, Harbor Freight, or any cheap tools. You get what you pay for, and it's a roll of the dice. Either the stuff works well for a long time, or it fails miserably and sometimes quickly. Well, either way, in the case of our weed whacker here, some plastic on the motor drive setup, like whatever little shit inside holds the motor in place, is broken, stripped out, so the motor can't even grab the weed whacker string head to spin it around like it's supposed to. It's shot. As for our hedge trimmer, the motor is just burnt out. Probably the brushes are burnt out or whatever, but either way it goes, it'll run maybe 60% and then sometimes go down as far as 30% power or torque. But the batteries aren't bad, it's just a shot motor. So what are we gonna do with this shit? Well, I had a goofy idea where maybe, just maybe, I could take the good motor out of our weed whacker and transplant it into the hedge trimmer and take the double battery head off the weed whacker and somehow put it on the back of the hedge trimmer as well. And how the hell are we going to do that? Well, I have no idea. I'm shooting from the hip here, and you'll get to see me shooting from the hip at a big old barn wall and probably still not hit it, but we're going to have a little fun doing it though. So first thing I got to do is tear all this trash apart. So let's get started. Alright, got all our crap laid out. First thing I need to do is swap this dead motor out with this motor. So, go ahead and take this little cover off right here. Alright, and here, see our little gear set for this shit. Next fun thing I'm going to have to do is take this whole assembly off. Do that next. Alright, these bolts out, and carefully take this out. Don't want to move any of this stuff because I need to keep it exactly as I had it in there. So it'll go back together exactly the way we need it to. And as we can see here, got our two screws we got to pull out in order to get this motor out, which I will do next. Okay. Our screws loose. This thing should just easily slide out. Motor is free. Free to go to the scrap can. Now, well, not right away. Gonna have to swap these gears with this one because, well, different size gears. But first, I gotta get this motor free from this little bracket. Well, now we got a fun part to do here. Let's see if it's possible to get this gear off. If not, I'm gonna have to tap it out. Let me get a tool. Well, managed to get the gear off of this damn motor. If this motor wasn't bad before, it's definitely bad now, because due to the fact that these gears are pressed on here, I had to use some unique methods to extract the gear from the bad motor. And as a result, this whole shaft is dislocated, let's just say. So this motor is never going to run again for anybody. But I luckily had a spare motor, so I didn't have to try to do the same thing with our otherwise good motor. Same class of motor, a little bit higher voltage than the 18 volts, so it's probably a 40 volt just like the one we were about to use, but shaft is the same size, and I was able to stabilize the motor where I could tap the gear on there without damaging anything. The only problem is the neck right here is a little bit wider than the neck on our bad motor, so because our cutter assembly, this hole here doesn't have a lot of plastic here, I'm not going to try to widen that out. I'm just going to get some longer screws to reach out through here and attach to this. See if I got a big washer or something. Probably don't need it, but yeah, we're going to just find some bigger screws, longer screws to attach our motor, but otherwise everything lines up where it's supposed to. So go find some screws and get this put together. Stand by. Alright, got everything situated here, got our gear set matching like it's supposed to, got the motor mounted in here with the longer screws. There's a bumblebee behind me, but he's alright. Got a little bit of a space here like I mentioned because of the wider neck, but everything is together like it's supposed to be. And motor, no more. With everything put together with the longer screws, all that good stuff, I can now go ahead and put our cutter head back on. First, got to put this big gear right here into the thing right there. Now, I can go ahead and put all this back together. Put that together. Little bushing right there. Put that little bushing right there. All of it is together. So now, go ahead, get everything slapped together here. Go ahead and tighten all this mess up. Alright, got our whole assembly put back together. Go ahead and get the cover back on next. This is back together. Our high-powered head is ready to go. Now the fun part begins, blending all this other crap together. Okay, where we stand now, as you can see, we got our cutter right here. I have the original Hedge trimmer body with the switch and the original battery clip and regulator, all that stuff. And then we also have our weed trimmer body right here with enough wire, more than enough wire, to reach into the Hedge trimmer body and connect to this stuff. But over here, what we're going to need to do, snip this stuff off, because this is the 20 volt stuff. We can't use that. This is going to go straight to the power line coming out of the weed trimmer body. But the thing is, even though we're going to do all that, I got to bypass these switches here because I can't use these switches. This is a safety switch and the original weed trimmer switch to turn the thing on. We don't need this. We just need this stuff right here for the 40 volt setup. So I'm going to go ahead and snip this stuff off, go ahead and kind of do a little mock-up of how I'm probably going to assemble these two bodies so I can determine how much of this wire I really need and wire all that stuff up, hook it up to our motor right here on our cutter assembly. And really, I could kind of take care of this right now just for mock-up purposes set our cutter assembly inside the body right here. That way all this crap can be plugged up. We can actually go ahead and plug up our little terminals here for the motor right now and knock that out of the way here. The little terminals were actually soldered onto the other motor. You gotta fucking be careful not break this shit. Okay, so that stuff is together. Next thing, like I said, we're gonna snip this off. We can go ahead and take care of that as well. So snip that and snip that. Try to keep things even. I could actually reuse this at some other point for some other 20-volt application, so we don't want to throw this out. So, like I say, this here, we're gonna do this. Let's get some of this other shit out of the way. This is about how I expect this thing to go together. Somehow I'm gonna blend this together. And on a side note, doing this way will actually give this tool some balance, where I could hold it right here and the battery pack here and the cutter head here will help get a good balance, like a nicely made sword. But anyway, like I say, go ahead and determine about how much wire we're going to need for this thing. I could kind of route some of this through here, and I could actually probably go about, really, you know what, I can actually put it about right here. Yeah, I think we got a good enough amount of wire right here, so we'll snip this off, get that out of the way. So now, we'll go ahead and strip this stuff. Alright, got this taken care of. Taking care of a bunch of little stuff here. Get that stripped. That. Okay, we're pretty much ready now to couple all that together. I just have to bypass all this shit. So let's see here. We got this switch here, which we do not need. Let me poke this stuff loose here. Okay. Obviously, we're going to save these little micro switches. These are always useful. Set that aside. Now, another thing we're going to do, snip. Snip that. Get that taken care of. Okay. These two wires are going to go together here. I will leave those alone because I need to get some heat shrink tubing. Right here, we got our power going through here. Actually, hold on, let's take a quick peek at something here. Let's get this old switch assembly loose. We can actually do some bypassing here altogether. Get this off. Take that switch loose. That terminal, I mean. Let's get the other one here. There we go. Here, we're going to actually do some other bypassing because the way the switch went together, we don't need all this extra shit. Fucking wasp. Damn things. Okay. You know what? Change of plan. Let's let's go ahead and use some of this wire right here. Make things nice and neat. I'm going to snip this even right here. Kind of ironic. Really look at how the stuff goes together, and could have determined later that we really didn't need to cut wire in some other spots, but that's okay. Again, we're shooting from the hip here. Go ahead and put that back. Get that situated. Okay. We mock up everything. Get a rough idea. Got a little extra wire there. Alright. Got that situated. See if I got any heat shrink here that I could utilize. I have a little bit of something here. So, go ahead and get some of this together. Go ahead and get all this stuff soldered and heat shrunk and everything. I'll spare you the boredom of that, so stand by. Okay, got everything soldered up so far. Bypassed the switch like I said. We got our power coming out from the battery packs, going through our two wires here. We got this little jumper pair right here connecting up to this set of wires coming from the switch and motor assembly. So for all intents, we're ready to go on the electrical side. I'm actually going to plug this up with a couple batteries just to test it out to see how it acts before I start putting everything else together and start figuring out how I'm going to blend all this other trash together. So again, stand by. Alright, got a couple of batteries hooked up to the double pack on the weed whacker head. Now, go ahead and see what it does. As we can see, it moves. Looks like it'll chop. Won't be able to tell how well it'll chop until I get it done so I can actually go chop some. So, again, let's get ready to put this trash together. Went ahead and cut a little notch on the body right here. This is actually the battery well from the Hedge trimmer. Cut a little notch right there where I could put the cable in, because like I say, this is how it's gonna go together. Put the other cover back on there, and then we could go ahead and see exactly how we're gonna morph all this shit together. Okay, again, this is what we're working with right here. So let me go ahead and see how I'm gonna do this, and I will get back to you in a second. Stand by. Alright, we got it all done. It ain't too horrifying, as you can see. I'll start off with how we connected it. First, I used a large worm clamp right here to hold the bodies together at the front of it. Flip it back over. You can also see a couple of wood screws that are used. They're going through the body at an angle on both sides, through this body, the hedge trimmer body, and then into the body of the weed trimmer right here to further hold it. Then on the back end, I have two angle braces that are bent to contour with the back of the hedge trimmer body, and as you can see, they're attached with regular sheet metal screws that were forced through the plastic to hold everything sturdy. Using two of the braces next to each other gives it a good support right there. And picking it up, get a better angle here, where we actually have good support and balance, as I stated before, where I'm balancing this thing on my middle finger, and it's pretty even. I mean, it's got a little bit of unevenness, obviously, with the front. I still got to put the handle on here, but as you can see, it's not bad. So this thing will be easy to wield in your hand and probably not lead to premature hand fatigue. So let me go ahead and get the handle on there and go ahead and do a quick demonstration of this thing. One more time, stand by. Alright, got our hedge trimmer here with the handle and the handguard attached. Got a little patch of weed, trees, something we don't care about, that I could chop on just for demonstration purposes. So as you can see, it cuts. Can't expect it to cut everything because, well, this is still a hedge trimmer nonetheless. This setup is made for trimming hedges, not branches. If it's over a ½ inch in diameter, that does not constitute a hedge. That's a branch. You need a saw for that. But anyway, this thing works, and the main point of this project was the simple idea of taking what amounted to useless junk, broken tools, and turning this into a useful tool once again. And also a useful tool that utilizes batteries that my other power tools also use. So I think it was a success. And I mean, it's got some character to it. I mean, look at the damn thing. It looks like some kind of weird junkyard laboratory experiment. I mean, worm clamps, angle braces, cool shit. But yeah, project was a success. I could add this to the inventory of power tools and be able to continue with any landscaping endeavors that we may set out to do. So with that, I'm gonna get ready to go back inside for a spell because it's hot as hell out here and I'm sweating. So as usual, subscribe if you hadn't already, hit the like button, notifications, check out the website, all that good stuff, and see what all we're up to, and catch you later. Going inside. Let's go. Well, not you all. You're not going inside. Not with me. Bye. I'm out.